Everyone, let me see. I can see my mic. Everybody say something. It's not working. That's what I was afraid of. See, that's why I didn't want to start right away. Um, oh shoot. I gotta figure out. Yeah, right now. Oh yeah, you can hear me, but the stream's not getting you guys real quick. I'm trying to figure out. Right now. Oh yeah, you can hear me, but the stream's not getting you. Yeah, I have the stream playing in the background, so you might hear two of me. I don't remember what I had this under. Yeah, I'm running the audio. It should be through the Elgato Wave. It should be StreamYard. Yeah, application sort. Oh, I was looking at device audio on here. Let me see. Hold on. Oh wait, I found it. Okay, I think we should good. Say something, guys.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, we got it. Hold on, make
Hello,
sure.
can you hear me?
Should good. Say something, guys.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, yeah, we got it. We're golden. Yes,
Yeah.
cool.
So that's what I
Oh,
do. I actually have a source for Discord live or Discord podcast
yes.
on my OBS, and I just do that.
But yeah, in the podcast, I have just desktop audio. I should probably do separate sources. That would probably be better to allocate that. I'll probably do that off stream. But anyways, what is up, everyone, and welcome to the Random Encounter Podcast, episode 79. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by Mr. Bryant.
I'm trying to think of something really good to say based on what I just saw. Dune 2 is freaking awesome. Go see it. That's what I got.
Ash Destroy 'em.
I have nothing else. I have nothing else good to say, but I like Brian's Evangelion shirt. If that's an Evangelion thing,
Looks like even
That it
That's what I
is.
thought. Yeah.
that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Looks like Shinji. Oh, it looks like Bryant froze on my end. Oh, there he goes. You're back.
Nah, he's alive.
Yeah. And we got Phaneckswhy with the new do.
What up? What up? Yeah, chopped all the locks off.
Yeah, he's got that new do. Looks fresh. Looks fresh. Been something that I've been debating about, but my wife's like, no, you got to keep your hair. So I was like, all right, I'll keep it. Me, might as well, right? But we got quite a few things to talk about today. A lot of stuff happened this week in the industry, both good, both bad, and ugly. So yeah, there's a lot of things that went on in the industry. But as always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Trying to hit hopefully 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. Um, I think it's doable. So definitely share the channel, share the podcast, as well as follow over on Twitch. And let's go ahead and dive in with the smaller news. We're gonna skip what we've been playing. MSI Claw is available for pre-order. It came up, I want to say on Friday. The link went up because I got an email on Friday saying that MSI Claw is available through MSI Claw's website. And now it's also available through Newegg, and it's looking to be shipping on March 12th. But there are people who have the MSI Claw in Asia because it's actually been out for almost a month. And apparently the performance is not that great. Something that I was kind of thinking about because like our GPUs, we do know they are not really the best. At least with DirectX 11 stuff, DirectX 12 stuff seems to run pretty good. But a lot of the older stuff is not running too hot. And the biggest issue people are having is actually battery life. So if you remember, I mentioned it has a 53 watt hour battery life, which is the biggest of all, the ROG Ally, Steam Deck, OLED, and the Lenovo Legion Go. And even though it has a bigger battery life than those three, it actually has less overall battery life, if that makes sense, right? Or it has a bigger battery, but less battery life. And that's because Intel CPUs and GPUs, and Intel CPUs mainly, they take up a lot more power than AMD CPUs. I mean, we've seen it. If you look at an i5 14th gen versus like Ryzen 5, 7000 series, there is a huge power gap in terms of how much they need. So that's actually very interesting, and that kind of made me decide not to get the MSI Claw after seeing all of that. Because if I want something, I wanted to run good and I wanted to have good battery life. These handhelds already don't have that great of a battery life, so for it to have worse battery life, I'm like, I think it's a pass. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I'd say like the Intel Arc GPUs are sort of kind of new in the scene and stuff, so for it to have that kind of performance is not that too surprising to me. It's probably because the drivers are not that good for across the board. So I see them as like investments over time as drivers get better, because the same thing
Yeah.
happened when the actual dedicated GPUs came out. The performance were terrible, but like when actual better drivers came in, performance were actually really good now, and a lot of content creators will like recommend these as like really budget GPUs for budget builds and stuff. So it'll come, drivers will come in due time for these GPUs, and it'll be just as fun. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, I agree with you with that. And one point for me personally, I'm just like, I don't really have time to kind of like wait and see what's gonna happen, right? I kind of
yeah,
need
understandable.
that. I kind of need that, maybe in the future when it gets better, I would invest in an Intel, APU, I guess, because I don't think Intel calls them APUs, like, because I know that's the AMD term, but I don't know what Intel will call them. What
I
about
think
you,
it's
Fan?
iGPUs or not?
iGPUs, yeah,
Are that's what they're calling
Yeah,
iGPUs?
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
integrated
Well, it's the
graphics.
integrated graphics, yeah, but
Yeah,
like
but
the
that's what they
overall
call it with
chips.
their. I think that's just what they call them. Like they're
Yeah.
just CPUs with iGPUs. Like they
Yeah.
don't have a specific name.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because AMD had the term APU, which was CPU integrated graphics. I guess Intel maybe never made their own term, or maybe APU is the term for all of them. I always assume. I don't know. But yeah, Finn, what are your thoughts on the claw?
Uh, I mean, I kind of saw it coming about the issues with the Intel processor and stuff like that, since there have been so many like known things going on with the Arc GPUs. Yes, they're getting better, but
Yeah.
problem is like if something doesn't start well out of the gate, it's gonna lose traction and it's not gonna sell very well. I mean, luckily this like the Steam Deck. I mean, even the Steam Deck, for one example, like when it first launched, like as people were getting it, they had freaking updates and BIOS updates and all that stuff right like day one.
Yeah.
Same with ROG Ally. There were a lot of like BIOS updates and stuff like that too. So, I mean, stuff like that can hinder a launch of a product. And if out of the gate your product's already going to be known to like not follow up on those promises, then it's going to be kind of a tough sell.
Yeah, I'm expecting. There probably will be quick updates. I just don't know because like, Intel Arc GPUs have been out for what, like 2 years now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
2 years.
there's still like issues.
Yeah, and I was watching like Gamers Next's most recent video, how they did another update, but a lot of the updates they're doing are really on like newer games and more popular games. And typically, when it comes to that, like popular games are usually more like Western games, right? And we all know that even though I play every now and then a Western developed game, a lot of them I play are more Japanese based games, and a lot of them are older games too. So like they'll use DirectX 11, and I don't know, Intel Arc GPUs are just not there yet. You have anything to say, Bryant, on the claw?
No, I don't know enough about it to really say. But here's the thing: I do think that any reservations that are about this thing, I think number one, MSI is a very experienced hardware maker, so maybe they can figure out a way to come up to figure out the shortcomings that you have with the Intel piece that you were talking about. I just don't see anybody releasing mobile, what would you call it, a mobile computer, a handheld PC. I don't see anybody really releasing something like that in this day and age when the competition is so fierce between the Steam Deck and the Asus Ally, that they would release anything that wouldn't at least be like acceptable. Like I just don't see them releasing them just absolutely awful. Like even the Legion Go, which I have problems with. There's great things about it, but I don't know. I think that maybe the problems that people are talking about might be a little overblown, but I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what you end up buying, James. It's been a
Yeah.
long saga. I think you need to pull the trigger already.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I'm set, but I'm not. And like, and the biggest thing, like when you replied to my question that I asked Bob Wolf from Wolf Den, and he responded as well, is that I see him a lot more with the Legion Go, and I'm wondering, because he had a video last year talking about his Legion Go was his number 3 pick, right? His number 2 was the Rogue Ally, and number 1 was that. And in there, he says that he usually picks up a Steam Deck or he picks up his Rogue Ally, and that's really it. But like in a lot of his more recent videos, I noticed he has a Legion Go. When he went to Japan, or not went to Japan, he went flying somewhere. He had the Legion Go. Like there's a lot of things that he's done. And I'm like, okay, he's using the Legion Go a lot, and he's really big on he wants things that just work. He doesn't want to really, even though he likes tinkering with stuff. When he's on the go, he wants stuff that just works. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I don't mind tinkering stuff when I want to tinker with stuff, but when I'm on the go, I don't want to have to tinker with stuff. A great example was I love the Steam Deck. I usually never have any issues. Today, I wanted to play Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Well, the latest update in SteamOS did something that kind of broke the latest version of Dolphin. So I had a rollback Dolphin, and I had to figure out how to do that, which was going into the terminal and writing in something to download an older version of Dolphin. But it's something that like you really don't have to worry about as much on the Steam Deck, right? Where Windows machines, there's a lot of times those driver breakage. Like a lot of the reviews were like something went wrong. I had to uninstall Lenovo Legion Space, and then I had to reinstall it. And it's like I don't want to deal with that. Like I just want something that works. And I get it. Like we're not gonna get something that's like a Steam Deck, right? Steam Deck with Steam OS is just so fine tuned with the game mode that it just works. It's that console experience that a lot of people like in a PC format. But at the same time, just wondering, like, is it working better? Is it not? And he answered and said that he mainly uses Steam Deck, but sometimes he picks up a Rogue Ally or his Legion Go, depending on what it is. So like, he says like, I don't think that helps you, and I was like, yeah, that definitely doesn't help me. But you know, we'll see. I guess we'll see where this saga ends. Who knows? Maybe I'll just buy them all. Like, maybe that's how this will really end. But yeah, that's the MSI Claw. Another bit of small news is Y2K happened. It finally actually happened. It wasn't the year 2000 when it happened. It happened in the year 2024. They are the
R.I.P.
Final
Theater Rhythm.
Fantasy and EA's WRC, which I believe is what World Rally something, right? I believe that's what it is. WRC. I didn't even bother looking it up because I'm like, this is not a game I really know about. But both of those games had server issues, and the only fix was to change your system clock date to March 1st in order for you to be able to play those games. And I thought it was kind of funny because it just brought back memories, us three, including Ash. I'm not sure how old Ash would have been there, but in the year 2000, right? In 99 rather, everybody was freaked out. It was always all over the news like, oh, make sure your computer's Y2K certified, and
Oh
people were
yeah,
going crazy.
There's a great episode of King of the Hill of that.
my mother was, but my dad was like, calm down, because he actually knew about technology. So, but yeah, I remember my mom doing that.
Yeah, like I remember news outlets and like people talking about it in school, like, oh yeah, planes might fall out of the air and stuff like that, and like all these crazy things. And yeah, it finally happened, just not in the way we expected. It was Theorhythm, and EA's WRC on a leap year, not Y2K, but on a leap year, which I thought was kind of funny, and it kind of brought me back to think like, hey, why does Theorhythm need to connect to a server to play? Anyways, like,
Yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen when that game goes like offline. Like, are they
Mhm.
gonna release an update that takes away that functionality so that's never happen again? Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
an interesting question.
Yeah, that was the first thing I saw. The minute I saw those things, I'm like, why do you need to authenticate online anyways? Like, you should. I get it, like it's a bunch of licensed music and stuff, but still, if you buy a game, it should be yours. But I mean, I guess like Ubisoft says, we just gotta get comfortable without of what not owning our games, right? That's what the Ubisoft CEO said. That
Taken slightly out of context, but yes.
pretty much. That's pretty much what he said. Yeah. Oh man. Pokemon Presents. So the Pokemon Presents happened on Tuesday. And I mean, it was kind of I didn't stream it. I wanted to, but I didn't because I woke up with a huge headache. I was like, you know what, like I'm not gonna do that. My head was hurting me. B, I'm kind of glad I didn't stream it because it wasn't that hype, but there was something that I was very excited about. and that is the Pokemon card game Pocket. That's actually a pretty cool thing. Why I'm excited for it is Yu-Gi-Oh! They had a game that's similar, right? It's a dumbed down version of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, right? And of course, the marketing for that was you had the anime characters tied in, you play as these anime characters, and you build decks. There's voice acting from the English anime show, which is kind of cool. But it was a dumbed down version. Instead of having 5 spaces, you have 3 spaces and so forth. And this seems to be kind of like their version of that game, which I'm down for, because the biggest and coolest thing about the Duel Links Yu-Gi-Oh game is that it's quick, right? I can go ahead and, if I'm waiting in line for something or whatever the case might be, I can do a quick card game, finish it up, go, and then that's it. And this seems to be a lot of that, which I'm kind of down for, because I haven't played the Pokemon card game in years. And I want to say the last time I played it was the Game Boy Color game. So that that kind of dates it to way back then, because when I collected the card, I never played it. I just collected the cards. But the Game Boy Color game was actually the first time I actually played the game. And this was like a neat way for me to kind of get back into it and kind of collect those card games. Are any of you guys excited for that? Do any of you guys even like card games at all, or am I the only one here that likes card games?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a card game guy.
I'm not a card game guy.
I grew up playing a lot of card games, especially Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I can tell you this much recently. Well,
Until
not
they can
really.
make card games like the Yu-Gi-Oh like cartoon, like I'm not into it.
honestly, like few to like 4 years ago, back when I was in college and stuff, my whole friend group was into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links a lot, so we'll just play almost every day and stuff. So, and then before that, I used to play a lot of Pokemon, the Pokemon TCG, obviously, along with the Pokemon games too. So it was fun. It was fun for a time, So
Yeah, Duel Links is fun. I used to play it like nonstop, and then I just stopped because I would do ranked matches, and I just got capped like once. I think it's like bronze was the silver and gold, right? It went in that order or something like that. And I believe that's the ranking. I could be mixing it up with something else, but I think it was the gold tier. I would always get stuck, and then you had these people that on their first turn they just destroy you. I'm like, this is not fun no more.
Yeah, that always happens. But at the end of the day, I
Yeah.
didn't care because I get to play as Julie Wheeler, and then like straight up, I made up this one deck for Joey and stuff, and I thought it was really creative, and they thought I looked up this deck and made it myself. I'm like, no, I made this up myself. This is from my heart of the cards. I will still beat you, okay? So yeah, overall, I definitely had a fun time with Duel Links and stuff. Is there like a new one that came out or something like that?
No, well, there's the Master Duel, which is the full card
Master
game.
Duel, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that one I've also played a lot, and I think I streamed it maybe. I believe I streamed it a while back. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I streamed it just one day because I was like, let me get back into it. And yeah, I was just getting destroyed because I hadn't played it so long, and people were popping in like, your deck is old. I was like, yeah, I hadn't played it like in a year.
Yeah. That's the thing too. The thing is, with Yu-Gi-Oh, I was stuck with the past. So I had like the really old decks. When I had the really old setups and decks back
Yeah.
when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out and stuff. I was never on top of the meta or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even like explain to you what the new meta is right now because I was just stuck with the old meta. Even though the new meta is better than the old meta, I was still getting by because I just didn't want to change, So
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's kind of the same way where I was at when it came to that. But that wasn't the only thing they announced. I think the biggest announcement was actually Pokemon Legends. I don't know if is it ZA or is it Z through A or Z2A? ZA?
It's
Okay.
Z2A.
It's
Yeah,
probably-
it's -A.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably ZA or ZA, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably ZA.
Yeah, because sometimes like a lot of like Japanese companies, they'll put like an X, and X would be cross instead of X, or it can mean so many things. Or in the case like of Godzilla King is called Godzilla King Kong. It's not Godzilla cross Kong or Godzilla and King Kong. It's Godzilla Kong. Like literally, that's what the X means. Or Kong Godzilla, whatever
Or
it is.
like
Yeah, you
Hunter
don't pronounce
Hunter.
X at all. Oh yeah, Hunter
Or
Hunter is another.
Hunter X Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. That's another good example. Yeah, Hunter Hunter is not Hunter X Hunter or Hunter Cross Hunter. Yeah.
I think for Pokemon ZA, I think they're going to
Mhm.
come out with the ZB.
ZB.
Oh
Uh,
man.
I've heard people thinking that there's gonna be
Yeah,
two versions of the
I think it would
game.
be like an alpha and a beta. You know,
Yeah, I don't think so. Like Z to A only makes me think of they're going to the beginning, right? Because
Pretty much.
you know, Pokemon X and Y, right? Which is what those games are. And then there was always the rumor there was a Pokemon Z game to come out, and then they never did. You know, it was just X and Y, done. Move on to the next game. And I want to say X and Y is the only game in the series to not have a sequel to, or like a not a sequel necessarily speaking, but like a third game, right? You know, we've always had red, blue, and then yellow, silver, gold, crystal, and so forth. You have black and white, and then you have black and white 2. You had you know, I guess I won't count Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet because they got DLCs, so that's kind of the same thing here. You know, instead of having to buy a brand new game, but X and Y, they're the only games that really didn't have anything else that I can remember at least. They didn't have that third game. The Z Pokemon Z was kind of teased for the longest of time, and in the anime, they showed Zygarde first, which was Pokemon Z, right? Because you had Xerneas and Evolve, which was your X Pokemon and your Y Pokemon, and then you had Zygarde, who was your Z Pokemon, but there was never a game for it. I think he came out in Sun and Moon. He was available for you to get, but he was never in X and Y, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, like this is they're doing the same thing they did with Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is nice. They're bringing you to the past. The one thing that kind of scares me, but maybe it's the wording is off, is their tweet was it takes place only in Luminos City or whatever they will call it in this game. And a lot of people are worried, like, what do you mean it only takes place in Luminos City? Like, are you in the city at all times? Like, do you even leave the city? And in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's like Legends Arceus, right? Jubilife Village was your hub, and then you would go to different areas, and then you would go back to your hub. So I'm assuming it's something like that, because if you look at the trailer, there's a lot of wording there that says, you know, a city where was it Pokemon and humans could live together. I'm kind of like paraphrasing. It doesn't say that exactly, but that's kind of what they're saying. So I'm assuming it's the build up of Luminos City, of how they're building it. They have the floor plans, which is when you look at that trailer, it's just kind of showing you how it would look in the future. And it's not built yet, but this is like their vision. So is anybody else here excited for that? Because I know I've told you guys plenty of times, I really like Legends Arceus. I think that's the best Pokemon game in a very long time. And I'm glad they're it looks like they're going back to that format. So to start with you, Ash.
I'm I'm extremely excited for it because the Pokemon X1 was one of the games I also love a lot as well.
Mhm.
And one of the few games I got from my not few games, one of the many games I also got from my 3DS and enjoyed the story heavily. So I'm looking forward to what they're gonna do with this in the Legends format. I
Yeah.
still need to play Legends Arceus first, but but yeah, I'm actually for one of the first times I'm actually quite excited for like another Pokemon game once again. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to see what they're gonna unveil with this game, if anything. So
Yeah, you gotta play Legends Arceus. I'm telling you, it's the story is actually really good because like I think that's the main thing I really liked about Legends Arceus is there's actually a story component to it, and there's a how can I put it? There's a nice twist to it. You can see the twist coming, but there's a nice twist to it, and I just enjoyed it nonetheless. Like outside of like Black and White or Black and White 2, like this is a really focused Pokemon game, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I really liked it a lot. What about
so
you?
like
Mhm.
I got a question for you then. So like how long ago do you think they're gonna do ZA? Like since this game looks like a prequel, how far back are they gonna do?
I mean, I don't know because I don't think there was a. I don't think they said how many years back was Legends Arceus. So when it comes to ZA, I mean, I don't know. I would assume hundreds of years, right? Because it's probably going to be around the same time as Legends Arceus, where the Pokeballs are just being made.
Because like
Mhm.
the reason why I asked is because there's a character, I'm pretty sure you remember him, the one that goes it's been
I know what you're
ten
talking
thousand
about.
years.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's gonna like make it a reappearance as like a different form
yeah,
or still
oh, you mean
there
the
but a little bit younger and stuff.
yeah,
Pokemon
Um,
God?
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much. I'm curious if he's gonna be in there or not. He should be in there
He
somewhere,
could
I
be in
think.
there. Yeah, because if it's, I
Yeah.
mean, if it's the foundation of Luminos City, I would assume he's gonna be there. I mean, it could be 10,000 years. Like I don't know the timeline of overall Pokemon, but like I said, Legends Arceus was like the development of Pokemon. Like they didn't the Pokemon that they captured weren't really captured. They befriended them and then they watched them, or like not watched them, they followed them, right? And then in Legends
Okay.
Arceus, you're like the first trainer to kind of capture these Pokemon in Pokeballs, and you had multiple Pokemon, and you're like the first of its kind to actually like put them in like Pokeballs. So I would assume it'll probably be in a similar timeline, maybe around
I
the
don't
same
think
time.
so.
You don't think so?
No, because Lumino City is like it's quote unquote the Pokemon version of Paris,
Yeah.
France, right? Because it's got the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I think they might actually go for more like revolutionary era.
Okay, so
You
like a
know,
little bit
like
more.
like the
Yeah.
French Revolution type era, like
Yeah.
Marie Antoinette, that
Hmm.
era time frame. That's what I'm thinking, like personally.
Yeah.
So it'd be like kind of a stopgap between, right? So you're
Hmm.
not back in that same time zone or timeline.
Yeah.
You're further up into the future, but not in current Pokemon
Okay.
timeline. You know, just so it'd be something different.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, they probably don't want to do a straight copy of Legends Arceus. Yeah, I could see that happening. Which I guess I wouldn't mind because like the neat thing about Arceus is because since it's so far back in the past, like there's different Pokeballs that they had, which was kind of cool. Like you had I think it was called the Iron Pokeball, which is for heavy Pokemon, and it was actually a giant Pokeball where like you had to throw it, and it wouldn't go that far, so you had to be very close to try to capture the Pokemon and stuff like that. There was a lot of cool things going on in Legends Arceus. Did you play Legends Arceus?
I did. I didn't get too far into it
Hmm.
because when that came out, a lot of games came out,
Hmm.
so my attention got pulled away. I do need to get back into it. I only like got it as far as like the second or third um
Area?
guardian
Okay.
beast. Or
The
I
what
guess
was it? The water
the
area?
wild. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the third
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. That's where you go. It there's also a volcano area, which is kind of cool. In that area. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of almost kind of go almost anywhere. Like it's
Yeah.
just like there wasn't really a set path. There
Hmm.
kind of was, but you could still kind of go about and do your own thing.
Yeah, which
So
was
it
kind of
it,
cool.
it was kind of like Breath of the Wild in a way where like here's you go from A to B,
Yeah.
but go from A to B when you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like so many different minis, quests and stuff like that. Hey, Pixel, what's up, man? Welcome to the podcast. Yeah, there's a lot. That was one thing I liked about it. It had that Breath of Wild feel. It's like, okay, here's your next objective. You go here, but you can just go around. And I remember when I first started the game, they're like, yeah, you got to go to this area. I was like, nope, I'm going to the left instead. And right away, I found an Eevee, and then you found like a high level. It was either a Ponyta or Rapidash. It was like super high level. You're like, yeah, I'm not fighting this guy. This guy would destroy me. Which was another cool component because like Xenoblade Chronicles is one of those games that I like where you're in the wild and there's monsters that are as strong as you, but then you have these like crazy overpowered monsters. Ash, you know what I'm talking about. Even you, Brian, if you play Xenoblade Chronicles, where you get that very overpowered monster. They had the same thing in Pokemon Legends Arceus, where you had a very high level Pokemon and you could choose to try to capture it or not, because if you try to capture it, it might take all your Pokeballs. You might even lose and faint. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with that. Brian, any thoughts on that? Because I know you said we know that you haven't played a Pokemon game since like Red and Blue. Uh, I did mention to you you should definitely try Legends Arceus. What do you think about this?
Yeah, your passion for Arceus really makes me keen on trying it. Just
Mhm.
because
It's different.
anytime would you say it's different? Yes, because
Yeah.
anytime like anybody kind of speaks to me with such glowing praise of a game like that, like it immediately makes me want to try it. Like I will tell you that it will be the next Pokemon game I try when I do get around to it. But right now,
Mhm.
I have two things on my plate that I assume we're all going to be talking about a little bit later, and so for now that's on the back burner. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's cool that they're releasing a sequel. Like maybe they'll maybe they'll do some more stuff with it that they couldn't get done in Scarlet and Violet. That'll be a little bit more technically impressive or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I hope before ZA comes out, you get a chance to play Legends Arceus, because I think you would like it. I feel like your taste in games are very similar to mine, with minor differences like we all do. have, but a lot of like the games we kind of agree on it, minus like Final Fantasy 16, of course. But like for the most part, we like similar games, and I think you would like it. It's different enough that it feels like, how can I put it? It feels less like Pokemon and more just like a traditional like RPG, if that makes sense. Yeah, because Pokemon has like their own style, and this is like trying to bring that to that RPG. So hopefully you get to try it. But let's
I
start
will.
off. Let's go ahead and talk about our first big topic, and that is we had an awesome game that released on Thursday, and that is Queen's Blood. Queen's Blood released on Thursday, and it's amazing. I'm telling you, it is a 10 out of 10. Like Ash is like, "What's Queen's Blood?" You see him looking
my
it up
God.
right now.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, Brian gets it. It's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's a card
It's
game.
the triple triad of Rebirth.
Oh, I actually forgot. Oh my god.
Yeah. So in Final Fantasy
Okay.
VII Rebirth, there is a card game called Queen's Blood,
Oh,
and it's
yeah, 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 yeah.
amazing. Like
Yeah,
I have so
forgot.
much fun playing it. Last night, I went to go ahead and play it. I'm playing some Rebirth. I did Fort Condor. I did a couple fights, and then I did the Titan fight and like lost like so many
Spoiled.
times. Is that spoilers? Like Titan?
No, probably not. I guess that's in the
Yeah.
very beginning. I'm just making you aware. Make sure you
Oh,
don't say
yeah.
anything
I
too much.
won't. Yeah, I'm not gonna get too into like story or anything like that. But Queen's Blood is a game that's out there. You can kind of go to like these NPCs and like challenge them, similar to Triple Triad and like Final Fantasy. Was Triple
That's the
Triad?
9 one.
That's the 9 one.
9 was
Yeah.
Tetra. No, 9
No,
was
9 was
Tetra
Tetra.
Master.
8 was
Yeah, 8
Triple
was Triple
Triad.
Triad. 10 was
Yeah.
Blitzball.
Mm-hmm.
Did 12 have anything?
No, 12 just had the
No.
hunts.
Did 15 have anything?
No card game for 15 either.
No,
Yeah,
15
yeah.
had like the pinball thing.
Oh,
There was
it
like a
did.
pinball
Yeah,
minigame
there was a
thing. Yeah.
pinball mini game.
Or
That
like
is true.
Gwent from Witcher.
Like
Yeah.
Gwent, yeah. Which, funny enough, I think Gwent in the Witcher game was more fun than the Gwent standalone game. Like I wasn't a fan of the Gwent standalone game. I don't know why. It just felt more complicated than it needed to be. It's like they're like, oh, we have this, let's add more to it. I was like, no, that kind of took away from the experience. And I wasn't the only one with that opinion. A lot of podcasts that I heard would say the same thing, that the one in the game was better. But anyways, yeah, Queen's Blood is pretty cool. It's very simple. It's one of those games. It's like easy to get into but hard to master. And right away you start realizing that, because your first 3 matches are pretty easy, and then you go to the next area, and that's when it starts getting hard. You're like, yeah, okay, I need to build up a deck, and I have to really know where to place my cards. But anyways, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out. I
Did they get rid
am
of Condor altogether, or is Queen's Blood replacing that?
No, Condor's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in there. There's actually a storyline to Condor in this
Okay.
game. At least where I'm at, there's a storyline. So it's
Yeah.
not like with the Yuffie DLC where you had to like find Condor players. Here it's actually through a storyline, like a side quest
Okay.
storyline, where you have to go through and you go to a specific spot. You have this story beat. You do that and move along.
Talking about multiple games within a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, exactly. And there's more mini games in the Golden Saucer, which I haven't gotten to yet.
No wonder this game is 2 disc.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on. Jeez.
But yeah, Rebirth, I don't know. There's some parts of the game that I feel are kind of backwards for me, and there's other parts that I'm really liking. So I don't, as of right now where I'm
Now,
at,
real quick,
yeah.
who's playing it so far between me and James? Or either you guys playing it, Fan or Ash?
I think it's just me and you.
I decided to
Okay.
wait with the PC version to come out, so I'm gonna be
Yeah.
scared on this time
I
around.
have it. I just haven't had time to start it up because it's been
Okay.
installing, and then a bunch of stuff happened yesterday that I didn't get a chance to start playing it. So
Yeah.
but I'll probably play it tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, I won't go
Okay.
into spoilers here. I definitely not gonna ruin the story. I mean, honestly,
I've been watching people stream it, so it's not
Oh,
not
okay.
gonna be big of a spoiler.
I won't go
was in your
into
12-hour stream.
So what I'm gonna say won't be spoilers. It'll be more like game mechanics. The only thing that maybe might be spoilers is the way they handle Cloud and Tifa, and I'm gonna say exactly how. I just like the dynamic they have a little bit better, except for the opening, which I think we've all done the opening. Well, except for you, Fan and Ash. But like the opening part, you did the opening, right, Bryant?
Yeah, I'm beginning chapter 4 right now.
Okay, where's chapter 4? Because I don't remember chapter.
Just getting to Junon.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you did that. So the only thing I thought was weird is like we have remake where Tifa and Cloud are so close together, blah blah blah, right? And then the beginning starts here, and it's like, Tifa and Cloud getting in an argument right away. I'm like,
Little weird.
yeah, I'm like, why is this happening? Like, you guys were just like lovey dovey in the last game, and you guys felt like nothing can separate you, and now you start off in an argument. Like, it makes no sense. The other thing that I wasn't a fan of is, so in the original game, this could be, of course, old person bias, right? In the original game, while Cloud is telling the story, there's Tifa would talk in parentheses and would say like, "I don't remember you being there" and stuff like that. When he's telling the story in this game, she doesn't say that. Like, of course, they pan the camera to her face, and she gives that face like, like I don't know about that. And then they wait till later on for her to kind of say to Aerith, like, I don't remember Cloud being there. And I just didn't like the way that played out. I mean, I guess it's still the same. I just prefer the other way because as the story's being told, you're seeing Tifa's thoughts and like, yeah, I don't remember this. I don't remember you being there and stuff like that. Yeah, and the other line about well, I guess I won't spoil that part because that line could be kind of spoilers. But what Cloud says to Tifa, he's like, "Yeah, I thought you were this," and yeah, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Like, you deserve to get like slapped. Like, it just made no sense there. But other than that, story wise, I'm really feeling it. I like how things are going on. Gameplay wise, I'm a little bit indifferent with it because the air combat sucks. Like, people are saying, "Oh, the combat is a step ahead of the rest. Like, it's a lot better." The air combat sucks, in my opinion. Before in remake, I could be Cloud, right? And you would go to attack somebody. Cloud would jump up and start swinging them in the air if he has to. In this game, he does not do that. Like, he stays on the ground. So if you get close to a flying enemy and you try to hit him, well, good luck. You're not hitting anybody. They stay on the ground. You have to do one of your moves from your ATP gauge to actually get you in the air, and then you can do that. Or with Cloud, you can do the rolling move, and then he starts shooting out like wind blades out of his sword. And I don't like that because as somebody who likes to sit with a set group of people and kind of like swap out between them, I don't like that it's like, oh, I have a flying enemy. Let me stop. Let me switch my party lineup to add like Barrett there or add like Yuffie in there so I can go ahead and attack a flying enemy.
Aerith.
Yeah. Or Aerith, yeah, right? Or Aerith. And it's just like things like that, like, it annoys me because I'm trying to level up. Like, I have like Tifa and Red 13 in my party. But then if I'm fighting somebody and then if I forget to switch, well, guess what? I either have to die or waste all my potions and Phoenix downs to try to beat this guy or use all my magic and ethers and stuff like that. So that's probably the main thing I don't like. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the 9 out of 10 that people are getting. Like, I'm sitting more like at an 8 or even a 7 right now. Maybe the further I get into the game, the more I'm like, oh, but I guess it's just like, it's familiar, if that makes sense. What are your thoughts on this, Bryant?
So there's a real like grand perspective to look at on this game. I'll just kind of go through the positives and the negatives that I've found so far with it. So first of all, I mean, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII since I want to say 98 or 99. I had a crappy eMachines computer and it would crash. It was famously kind of a bad PC port back in the late 90s. It wasn't great. It was done by IDOS and it had some stability problems and it would crash. And I didn't have a PlayStation but at that point, and I just remember like thinking like how special it was that I got to play Final Fantasy VII on a PC, and just like how incredible the game was. And it just all seems so quaint now when you think about how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks 20 or almost 30 years later, almost 30 years later, right? Yeah.
27.
Yeah, almost 30 years later, just how incredible it is, like when you step out of Calm in the beginning and you see just this gigantic area that's just like unfolded around you, and you can that music pipes in, and then like there's monsters on the field, and the graphics are incredible, and you can just tell that so much love and care went into crafting every inch of that map and every inch of the town. Like all the towns like have so much detail in them. Like Calm is just full of little details, and I love the music and the graphics and all the detail. And it's great. It's great. Excuse me, it's great. Um, the combat is interesting for me. I love 7 Remakes combat. I put it right up there with 16's. Excuse me. I think it's fantastic. Now, when it comes to Rebirth, it's kind of interesting how I feel about it. Let's start with the synergy attacks. The synergy attacks I'm talking to specifically are the ones that you have to build up by doing abilities with different characters. Like you do like 3 abilities with Cloud, then you do 3 abilities with Tifa or something, and then you do like a big ultimate attack between the 2 of them. I like the idea of it because it forces you to switch between characters. Otherwise, you could just stay as one character the entire time. So the game, it kind of encourages you to like play as other characters when you're playing, and I like that. But at the same time, though, if you're fighting just like a normal couple enemies, like you're not going to be able to do enough abilities to use synergy attacks. Like the synergy attacks really is, so far as I've come across so far, just for boss battles. And so like they make kind of a big deal about it, but I find I'm not using them that much. Then you do have like the regular synergy attacks where you just like hold R1 and then press like square or circle and you can spam those or whatever. And I guess I feel like they've really made the battle system a little more complex, and I haven't played it enough, even though I'm on chapter 4, maybe I have played it enough to know whether I like the changes or not to the battle system, because I think Remakes was pretty much flawless. I love Remakes. I love getting into fights in Remakes. In this, it's almost borderline. I'm kind of like, I still like it, but not as much as Remake.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do I feel about it?
So,
But that's probably like my main thing. I wanted to ask you too. What was it in Remake that they reminisced about, that like it showed like Tifa's stuff in parentheses? Like what were they talking about that was like a memory? Do you remember?
There's
in Remake, they did that as well, you're saying? Or
Well, I thought you said they did, because then
no, in
Tifa
the
would like put
I'm sorry,
parentheses.
in the original one. So
Are you talking? Oh, in the original. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha. In
original
the
7, when
original.
they're
Okay.
retelling the the Nibelheim
Yeah.
story. Yeah, so like you
Tifa
would,
had parentheses.
yeah, and I like that because it's one of those things that maybe again, I played it in 90. It would have been like 98 or 99, so I would have been like 10 years old, 9 years old or 10 years old, somewhere around there. And I just remember getting into it. I'm like, oh wow, like this means that she's thinking this. And as you read the story, and I've played Final Fantasy VII. I beat the game probably like 3 or 4 times, and I just remember being like in shock, like, oh yeah, like he's lying there, he's lying, like because if you play the original 7, you find out at the end that yeah, all this is not true, like he wasn't the one there. But in this, I feel like for a new person, like a new player who's never heard the story or never played Final Fantasy VII, they might see that as being well, I mean, I guess maybe for modern day storytelling it might be there, but I just feel like it doesn't have as much of an impact, in my opinion. Like if you just wait for the end and be like, oh yeah, like is it weird to say like he was never there? Like it's just a weird
I don't know.
line that Tifa says.
People like Fight Club, so
Yeah.
I think people can kind of get over that. But
Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying. I really think that they just wanted to take that story in 7. That I think that there was a lot of liberty given due to the fact that the technology was what it was in
Yeah.
97 compared to what it is now. So they kind of had to spin it to make it so it's a little bit more palatable to people in 2024.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how all the environments look. Like I just got, like I said, I just got done with chapter 3, where you go through an area, a really big area. I won't spoil what it is, but I think you know what I'm talking about, James. Where it's a really big area, and like Barrett. Okay, I think you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about. And it's, I love the music, and the enemies are really cool. The fights are good and everything. But it's not like I was expecting to pick this up and be like 10 out of 10. Maybe that's my own unrealistic expectations. But we'll keep going.
Yeah.
It's definitely great. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention too before I forget, the opening scene where you're climbing Mount Nibel and the credits are rolling, that is iconic. That
Yeah.
is fantastic, and I can't get over how awesome that looks.
Yeah, that was when in the demo, that's the part you play in the game. And I remember when I first played that in the demo, that was cool. I did like that
Were there
whole
credits?
part. Yeah, the credits. Yeah,
Oh, there
because
were credits in the demo.
that's
There
the
were credits
part.
too.
Yeah, that whole part is what you
Okay.
play, and then in the game you can skip it. Because like when I got to that scene, it says, "Oh, there's demo save data. Would you like to skip it?" And I said, "Yeah, skip it," because it's that whole scene you play. Except for, I was trying to talk with somebody about this. except for the part where they you do the scene of when Sephiroth burned down all of Nibelheim, and how he's limping across. I was like, why do I have to replay this? I did this already. I don't want to have to limp across. That's a pet peeve of mine. There's a lot of the slow moving stuff, and it's very annoying. Like in the in the cave, right, where you have to move the boxes. I'm like, come
Or
on,
the
man.
or
Like,
the what do you call them? The mine
yeah, the
carts, you have to move
little,
those and stuff, and
yeah. I'm like,
the materia
oh.
gas clear things and
Yeah,
everything.
the vacuum cleaner. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of that in there, and oh man, I hate that. Like, I get it. It's probably so that, it can load up, something in the background and stuff like that. But it's just so annoying when you limit my playthrough in the city or in certain story beats. Like, you're forced to walk inside a town. I hate that with a passion. I'm the guy who got angry that in towns, uh, oh man, I'm gonna mix it up. Clive, right? Clive 16, not Claude.
Yeah,
Clive.
5.
Clive, his freaking running speed is dumbed down in towns, but then when you're out in the wild, he's faster. It's like, why? Why does he have two different running speeds?
He
That's
doesn't want to bump into anybody, man. Come
yeah.
on, give the guy a break. He's a
Yeah.
very thoughtful man.
Oh, it's just so annoying, and it's different from, playing other RPGs where you just press and hold the run button and you can just constantly run. That's another thing. Like, it's like minor things like that, and I'm starting to sound like that old man, yelling at the what is it, yelling at the sky
Old man
or
yelling at the
whatever.
cloud.
Yeah, I'm starting to sound like that, but like these little minor things, I'm just like, why are there? You had mentioned, what was it? You had mentioned I don't remember what it was, but I started laughing because it reminded me of
The
going.
music.
It wasn't the music. It was oh shoot, I don't remember.
Did I
But
mention it
anyway,
just now or tweeting?
this no, it was a while back. Just now, like when we
Oh,
were talking. I don't remember what, but I remember what I was laughing at because a picture came into my head. Because I think you were saying you love the way it looks and feels and everything like that. And the first thing that popped up in my head is, why does Aerith and Tifa sleep with these mini blankets while they're sleeping on top of these giant, like, comforters? It's like, I'm not sure if you
that's
caught
my
that.
sleep.
Like, I don't sleep
I
that
don't.
way.
I don't sleep under the sheets. I have a blanket on top, so that way I don't have to make my bed. I just have a blanket.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that
I mean, they
works.
didn't have any blankets, but
I
they're
mean,
just chilling, man. They're just chilling.
but
Whatever.
everybody, it's funny because like a lot of people commented on that scene. They're like, do people actually sleep like this? Like, I've never seen anybody sleep like that. And it's funny because they have like this mini blanket, but their feet are not covered, and it just like covers like their stomach, and that's about it. It's like, what?
Hey
Uh,
man, some people don't need a lot of covers.
They don't
I
got
guess
air
so.
conditioning in
I mean,
Colin,
that's true.
man.
Maybe
Give 'em a
Yeah,
maybe
break.
Calm doesn't have air conditioning. Maybe it's
yeah,
very hot. Yeah,
yeah.
that is true. I didn't think about the weather or the temperature there.
I
I,
get some
Yeah,
air conditioning.
he could just run hot, and that way all he needs is a little sheet to cover him.
yeah. Hold on a sec. Let me lower my voice here because I've noticed I'm peaking in the red on OBS here. Should be good around here. All right, cool. A couple other things to add real quick. Going on the synergy thing, I agree. Limit break is kind of the same thing. Like, the limit break resets after every fight, so it's one of those things that you don't really use often because your enemies are kind of dead.
Use it or lose it.
Yeah. And I don't remember, was original 7, you kept your limit break, right? Each battle it kept building up and then eventually it would show up, or
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought. It stood with you.
Like the build, like it would keep building and building, and then you get into a
Yeah.
fight, and then it would be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and I feel like they should have done that with this. I don't remember, was remake like that or no? I don't remember if remake had that.
I don't recall. I don't remember,
I don't think
unfortunately.
remake was like that.
No? Okay.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't use my limit break, and I tend to sometimes even forget it's there, unless it's like a boss battle, and then that's when I use it. Synergy attacks are the same thing. Like, a lot of the fights you're done before you even need to use it. The other thing is, I do feel that the ATB gauges of your party members grows a lot slower. So
They go a lot slower. Absolutely, they
yeah,
do.
so because in remake, I remember I could play as Cloud, and then I can easily press R2 and have like Tifa or Barrett use an attack. Here is like, no, like if you're not controlling those characters, forget the ATB gauge. Like, you're not
I think
basically gonna do that, and it's how can I put it? It does make the game a lot harder, but it makes it more annoying at the same time because now it's like, oh, I'm about to die, but my healer, whether you're using Aerith or Tifa or whoever, my healer doesn't have any ATB, so I have to quickly switch over to them, try to build that, and hopefully, the NPC doesn't die, and then I can heal. It becomes like, I don't know, it's become a little bit more cumbersome than I want it to be, and hopefully they fix that. I hope like they can patch that because to me it's annoying, and it's very annoying that I don't know, like I can't really rely on the NPC. Some people might like it. For me, it's like, yeah, I don't want to rely on them like 24/7. Like they shouldn't be like getting max ATB gauge without me controlling them. But at the same time, they should be at least building the ATB gauge, if that makes sense.
I think they really aren't trying to make it so they're encouraging people to switch characters in a battle. Like
Yeah,
between the synergy thing, between how slowly the ATB builds for non-playable characters, I think they really are trying to encourage people to like experiment and play with different characters.
yeah,
And also too, like the game is so, and this is something I think you tweeted about, I want to say. The game is so focused on your only growth really being those machines that are at rest stops that let you
yeah,
upgrade, and it's all about the synergy attacks for the most part. Like,
yep.
there's some buffs for your HP, your strength,
Like
etc. But
the
a lot of it's
weapons,
about the
yeah,
synergy in your weapons. Yeah. And then your weapon, that's what you tweeted about, was the fact that
yeah,
like in the original remake, which I really liked, was that you would bring up that cool like space scene and like
yep.
you would like make all the things light up, and it was really
Like the
cool.
Crystarium from Final Fantasy 13, kind of like that.
13, right,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and in this it's more so just like it's kind of like the abilities in 7 remake where it's like you just kind of like grow them and then they kind of just happen, like they're just very passive, and it's just
yeah.
kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I have this now.
And
Um
that was one thing
so
I tweeted about that I don't like that because like it's one in again remake, right? You kind of control how your weapons grew, so you can choose, hey, I want to get this extra material slot, right?
MP,
Yeah,
extra
exactly,
MP, extra resistances and stuff like that, yeah.
exactly. This is just done for you. It does everything
Right.
for you, and it feels less like you're investing less in these weapons. So now you have a weapon, you're like, well, okay, like what's the point of me keeping on to this weapon? Let me just move on to the next weapon and get something else. Because it doesn't really explain it well on what it has. Like, for example, one of my weapons, I want to say it's the Buster Sword. It says strength plus something. I don't, it gives me some stats. But when I look at the top where it would show those stats, it says 0 to all of them. But on the side, it says that. So it's like, do I get this at the next level or do I have to wait? Like, I don't know when I'm getting these abilities. It says these abilities should be with this weapon, but I'm not seeing the effects of these weapons. So, like, me personally, like, I'm confused. Maybe it's something I don't understand. Maybe I'm just slow at understanding this. But, like, I've never had this done in an RPG where I don't understand a certain mechanic. And in this case, I'm not understanding the whole weapon upgrade system in this game. So, minus the little abilities you can attach to it, which I feel like are useless. Yeah. But yeah,
Still gonna play it. I'm
same
overall
here.
very much enjoying it. I really think it's we're just kind of discussing the
Nitpicking.
cons of it, but yeah, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I'm not appreciative of how incredible the most of it is so far. I really
Yeah,
like it a lot.
I agree. I guess it's one of those things too, coming from 7 Remake. I really liked 7 Remake. I thought the
Me
combat
too.
was, like you said, was pretty much perfect. I mentioned this
Perfect. Yep.
before that I would want other Final Fantasy games to just follow this. Persona 5 Strikers is a game that I felt like the combat was very reminiscent of that, and I was like, I like it. In Persona 5 Strikers, you attack, and then when you go to use your persona, it stops the action, and you have your menu system where you go ahead and choose your different abilities. And I thought that is a cool way to do, an action RPG because it gives you those turn-based elements, but it's also in the action format. Dahak actually was one of the games that actually did that first, which, I don't talk about enough, but Dahak was actually one of the games that actually had that, like, to do abilities, it will stop time, and then you had a menu, you go through, you press the ability, and then it will do the ability, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I still enjoy it, and it's one of those things, yeah, maybe as I play it more, maybe I'll get why people are saying, yeah, oh, this is the game of the generation and blah, blah, blah. As of right now, I don't have my soundboard here. I was going to do the Shulk. Where is it? But anyways, right now, I'm not feeling it as much, but, we'll see.
I'm not really feeling it.
There we go.
I'm not really feeling it.
Got it on my Stream Deck.
I'm not really
Yeah, I don't have the
feeling it.
app up right now. Yeah, we'll see. We'll which sucks. But I will tell you this: the soundtrack is pretty good though, especially the Queen's Blood music. The Queen's Blood
Oh yeah, I
music
like
is
the
really
Queen's
good.
Blood music. Yeah, I like Queen's Blood too. I don't like it as much as you do. I do like it though. It's just right now, pretty much for me, I just concentrate on two things. It's just because I know there's a lot more to it than this, but the way I'm playing it right now is just trying to make it so I have as many pawns as possible and making it so the numbers are big where my pawns.
Yeah.
That's really all.
It
That's
gets
what it is.
very
But there's more to it.
complex.
Oh, I'm
Like
sure. I'm
I'm
sure.
not. I mean, this is kind of not spoilable. I had to battle somebody, and that battle actually took a lot longer than any other Queen's Blood, and it's because
Oh yeah.
they kept destroying their own card to bring another card. I'm like,
Mm.
what is going on here? And like it got like I started realizing, oh wait, they're destroying their card to get a stronger card, and what they're doing, they're building up the spot next to them. And it went from level 1, level 2, level 3, and they kept destroying that card, but that other card kept going higher and higher. So
To
they could,
destroy it.
yeah, they could have gotten like a very tough monster. So
Mhm.
like yeah, later on you start getting cards that buff your other cards. You get cards that will destroy other cards and stuff like that, and that's where the game starts shining, for sure. But yeah, Final Fantasy Rebirth, I enjoy it. I'm gonna be playing it after the podcast because yeah, I want to play some more. It is a game that I still I was at work today. I was like, I kind of want to play that. I want to play some more of Rebirth because I'm really enjoying it, and I just kind of hate that it's not on PC because I would prefer to play it on my Steam Deck. I've been playing it through remote play on my Portal, and I don't know. The Portal has like a mind of its own. Like one day it's flawless, the next day it's like it can't even like it just loses connection on its own. And I've done everything in my house to try to remedy that. And it's only in my room. It's only my room. If I go downstairs, it works flawless. And I have a whole floor in between where the PS5 is and downstairs, right? And it's like it works flawless. But in my room that's on the same floor, it has issues. I don't know what's
Mm.
disturbing it, but that's a topic for another day. Um, moving on. Let's get to a topic that we can get input for Fan and Ash, and that is layoffs. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I really think the video game industry is heading towards a crash. Like, I don't know. I wasn't even born when the '80s crash was there, so I don't know much about it. But like, there's a lot of things that are kind of pointing that direction. And A is because the video game industry has gone mainstream, right? Which it's a positive, but it's also a negative. There's more corporation and more like corporate entities involved now, where I feel like game creation itself is kind of destroying what we like as video games for something that's like, like a Fortnite, right? Something that's reoccurring money. And it's just the greediness of these corporate people that I feel like is what's destroying this thing. But anyways, Sony laid off about 900 employees. EA laid off about 670 employees. That's a ridiculous amount. Like that's a lot. In 2024, we already have way more gaming employees, right, laid off than in 2023 in the whole year. And it's kind of sad to see that because you had like companies like, especially with Sony, you had Naughty Dog, you had whole studios that closed down. You had what was it, the London studio that closed down. You had the people who did, I believe the people who did the Horizon Call of the Mountain game for VR closed down. A lot of their VR studios closed down, which kind of shows you where Sony is thinking about VR. Like they don't care no more, and I guess their way to try to make up for their loss is to make PSVR 2 compatible with PC. EA, they're like, yeah, we're not gonna do licensed game anymore. They canceled the Mandalorian game that was supposed to be from what's their name? The people who did First Order, or not First Order, the Jedi game. What's it called? What can I think of the name right now?
Jedi Fallen Order,
Yeah,
Survivor.
Fallen Order. Yeah, Fallen Order and Survivor. Yeah, they Respawn. There we go. They canceled their game, and they're like, yeah, we're not gonna do IPs. We're gonna be, doing some other stuff. I want to say it was the EA that said they're gonna invest more in AI, or it might have been another company that said they're gonna invest more in AI. I might be mixing up those two. But yeah, there's a lot of things going wrong with the industry, and honestly, I'm gonna say it here, and you can at me on Twitter or whatever in the comment section. But I think we're going in for a crash. Like outside of Nintendo, I feel like we're going in for a general crash, and of course, like PC gaming, I think they'll always be fine. What do you guys think about all this?
So to start with, I was actually looking into like the video game crash to see what the hell happened then, because apparently it only happened one time throughout its history and stuff, and it happened in 1983. I looked into it, and I noticed that like pretty much there was basically a whole bunch of consoles. Like there were so many options that we had. The problem is that the games that were there weren't really selling and stuff. Not until we got up all the way up to the 1985. That's when Nintendo came out with their family computer, or NES per se, and that the Nintendo themselves practically were the ones that pretty much revived the video game industry with that console by itself, and from there, that's where it actually started booming from there at that point. Now, comparing that to this, I don't really think that a video game crisis is going to happen whatsoever, mainly because that okay, yes, there's layoffs happening across so many gaming companies, but it's not just the video game industry. It's pretty much everywhere else that pretty much hired too many employees during the pandemic and stuff. When the pandemic happened, what happened? Everyone stayed home. Well, everyone in the U.S. stayed home. Oh, not just in the U.S., but everyone else, every other country advised everybody to stay home and stuff. And what people do when they stay home is they either watch a lot of streaming content or play a ton of games as well at their homes as well. So there's pretty much huge demand for that stuff. And from that time, a whole bunch of companies were like, "Oh wow, we're getting a lot more revenue than we should. Maybe we should hire a crap ton of employees just because." And then once the pandemic has ended and stuff, now the revenue starts just dropping all of a sudden. So at that point, they're like, "Holy crap, we have these many surplus employees who practically don't need them anymore. Let's just lay them all off and stuff." So that way they can get right back on track when it comes to their own profit margin and stuff. Is it the right thing to do? No, I don't agree with that whatsoever. But this is what's basically happening is that this is still like companies are still trying to recover after the pandemic by laying off some people, which you at this point you can tell that they hired a whole bunch of employees, and and due to that, there's now a lot of employees in the market trying to get an entry level job in any company that they can find right now. So now there's like a huge saturation of employees that have experience but can't get back into the workforce because so many companies are just trying to like keep it to a minimum right now because there's no need for it and stuff. So what's up?
In that thought, there's a flawed thing, and I think the biggest thing, and I've heard this argument say it for a while, but I counter that because nobody has really shown proof, and that's that during the pandemic, these companies hired a bunch of people. And speaking from experience, during the pandemic, a lot of companies froze hiring in general, and they did not hire anybody. If anything, people got furloughed because of the pandemic, right? Because things were down overall. I've not seen anything that said like PlayStation did a mass hiring in there. Nobody has been able to find proof that PlayStation did mass hiring or EA did mass hiring during the pandemic, because everybody was trying to figure out what's going on. They didn't even know where things were gonna go. Yeah, companies made crazy revenue because of all the free money that everybody got, but they did not get that. So I don't think that's the case. And it goes back to corporations. Like it's the greediness of corporations of infinite growth, right? There's the topic that companies want infinite growth, and the only way to control that outside of like maybe they're not selling as much is let go of people, because then that's less pay you have to do, therefore more money that you have inside the bank. How are we gonna say?
Okay, so like I mean, of course, there's no proof of like some companies not hiring anybody, but at the same time, they could have just pull a whole bunch of more money into a certain project, mainly because of the pandemic and stuff. So there's that. Can we find proof of that? I mean, all I can say is maybe look at the
Yeah.
stock numbers during the pandemic. One of the examples I can pull out is Disney, mainly because Disney Plus at the time was just like booming in stocks when the pandemic happened. Because, like I said, since so many people were at home, people just start streaming a whole bunch of their movies through a whole bunch of these
Well,
cloud services.
didn't
So
Disney just launch in 2020 though? I don't remember.
Disney Plus?
Yeah, didn't it launch in
No,
2020?
no. It launched before 2020,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
So and with that, there was so much content within Disney Plus at the time, and now when the pandemic ended and stuff, a lot of people were now seeing the flaws on like, okay, so most of the content is like pretty much stale, especially the Marvel stuff, and due to that. Now Disney Plus kind of like lost most of its value compared to other streaming platforms and stuff. So the thing is that it doesn't have to be like a company trying to hire a whole bunch of people. Maybe they wanted to put a whole bunch of more money into this specific platform because they noticed that, hey, our platform's booming because this is happening now, and they show that to shareholders and they're like, oh, let's put more money into the stock, and that's pretty much what happened from there. So the thing is overall is that it's because of companies like over investing into certain parts of their services and stuff. They over invested, and now they're pretty much ripping what they sow by having to cut out a lot of the certain things. One of them, it could be one of the services, it could be a lot of employees, so on and so forth. I'm not really trying to defend companies whatsoever. It's more like at the end of the day, it's still pointing towards they want more money and they're trying to like keep the money as much as they possibly can and stuff. And it happens to a whole bunch of different companies. Overall, I just don't think vegan crash is happening anytime soon because the games though, when it comes to the market itself, there's definitely tons of casual players in the market now these days. Because when I'm looking at video games, I'm counting like any video game that I can think of, like any sports like games. Even though I'm not a big fan of these, I'm counting FIFA, I'm counting 2K, I'm counting the Modern Warfare. I'm counting a whole bunch of these types of games that are like out right now. I'm counting The Last of Us. I'm counting God of War. I'm counting a whole bunch of these AAA games where casual people want to just pick these games up and just play. And that's it. They're not really looking more into much of the criticism of the game. They saw, oh, game looks cool. Game looks like a movie. I'm gonna buy this and play it, right? And so when looking at that, when you look at the casual market, they're pretty much like spending a whole kinds of crazy money into the industry in itself. So there's definitely lots of the demand for these kinds of games and stuff. And not to mention, I even forgot the kids that play Fortnite. 24/7, so there's that to look into as well. So it's mainly because of that base. That's pretty much where the majority of the revenue is coming from. Is the reason, one of the reasons why that like a viewing crash is probably not going to happen anytime soon. It might happen again. It's not going to happen like in this year or within 5 years because the same model that they're using when it comes to microtransactions or live service like games keeps working mainly because of the casual market itself, right? So, but yeah, overall, I just don't think a video game crash is not going to happen, mainly because there's already too much money coming from the casual audience, mainly, and that's one of the things I need to think about as a gamer myself because I'm not really a casual gamer. I'm more on the hardcore side of things because I play a lot of good amount of niche games that nobody else ever heard of and stuff. And sometimes I think that that the video game is going to crash because my games are not doing well. But you got to look at it as a whole on what other people are playing. Like you have no idea how many women I come across that play Sims, and then they come and ask me, should I buy this laptop for Sims? And I'm like. And then I have to take a step back. Wait a minute. Are you trying to buy Sims and put like 40 different mods into it? Because apparently Sims is known for like crap ton of mods, and some of these casual gamers don't know that you probably need better processing power or more RAM to encompass a lot of that mods into the game. So it's just there's definitely a lot of casual gamers out there.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that because of that, I just don't think it's gonna that kind of stuff is gonna happen whatsoever. It's just not.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, fam?
Ash pretty much said it all
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it probably will happen, but I don't think it will happen anytime soon. If anything, if it does happen, I don't think it'll be a crash. I think it'll just be like a slow, like
Like a drought.
descent, like a slow descent.
Full
Yeah.
descent. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that might be the right word. Like not a crash, but like a descent. In terms of like, I guess quality, more like how can I put it? For me personally, and let me know if you guys agree. Like I feel that the quality of games are not, how can I put it? Graphically they're impressive. It's amazing, but the fun factor seems to be less and less a thing. Does that make sense, or do you feel
Oh, I
that
agree.
maybe
I agree, and I agree, and
yeah.
I completely agree with you 110%. I feel like, like I said from the last podcast, I feel like a lot of gaming companies are investing too much onto how release the game looks rather than the gameplay and mechanics of those games.
Yeah.
Which is why I always come back to play older games or some indie games these days, because they lost the point of a video game.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm watching a movie. I'm watching a movie and still playing the game, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely get what you mean, but the problem is that that's not what the casual market sees,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah.
It's
But how,
just
like for me, the casual. So when it comes to casual market too, like when I think about that, I think like these companies are also were trying to focus too much on the casual market, and the casual market has already been sold. They've been sold on Fortnite, right, or Warzone, or Sims, or FIFA or something like that, right? And that's what sold them. And to try to break in there, it's basically you're throwing darts and trying to find something that's gonna stick. Ubisoft has been doing that. EA has been doing that. They got Apex Legends, but Apex Legends is not as popular as it once was. Um, Epic Games has done that, and so forth. And I feel like the hardcore gaming audience, they still want a good amount of games, but like they're, how can I put it? It's almost mixed there, where these companies, I feel they're trying to go, like Sony for example is very big, and like we can win these people by our cinematic games, which I enjoy, and but to a degree I feel like a lot of these games still don't have that fun factor. Do you have anything to say on that, Bryant? Because it looked like you were going to say something earlier.
I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. I mean, I think, the biggest budget game that probably just came out recently would probably be Spider-Man 2, and that game was really fun. I do agree that I think that graphics are too important, but I don't think that that means that games aren't fun anymore, or they're less fun. I mean, I like going back and playing retro things too, but not because they're necessarily more fun, but just because it's easier to kind of pick up and play them. Like, I really like playing through Mega Man X2 or Super Mario 64. They're really a lot of fun. They came out in the early mid 90s, but I mean, that doesn't mean that, like, I don't know, Odyssey isn't fun, or there really hasn't been any recent Mega Man games, I guess. But the point is that I still think
Rest
that
in
like
peace.
AAA games can be fun.
Therefore, there haven't
What'd you
been
say?
any recent fun games. You see, no recent Mega Man X games means no recent fun
Yeah.
games.
yeah.
maybe.
Rest in peace, man. Jesus.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I do think that it is a problem. I don't know enough about how corporations work and how money is spread around. And I mean, there was overhiring during COVID, but it's a bad look that Insomniac laid off all those people, and Sony laid off all those people when there's so much profit that just happened with Spider-Man, and like all of this money is just flowing in, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we just got a bunch of people to move here, uproot their lives and move here, and that's it, they're gone. They have, too bad, throw them on the street. And it's not good. Like, I used to dream when I was a kid to be like a video game developer, but then I realized that I suck at math too much to ever code anything or do any of that stuff, so that never happened. But like, I can't imagine like that being my passion that I grew up with my entire life, playing games, writing code, developing concepts, stuff like that, and going to a company in a different state or a different country even, and just getting thrown to the wolves like that, and then you're expected to get back on your horse and go like, okay, well, let's go get another video game job where the same thing might happen to me a month from now again, and then I'll be going on and on. I hope that, and I don't know, I don't know if Sony released or if anybody released any kind of severance that these people got, if any, from
I
these
hope.
layoffs.
I mean, they probably
I
got
hope.
NDAs to not. I would assume they would give
Yeah,
a
maybe.
severance package. Most companies do that nowadays, but they probably got NDAs where they can't explain it.
So, hopefully they did get something out of it or whatever, but it's really it's really dark out there, and I think I don't agree with your assessment about there being a crash. I think the problem isn't that like there's so much crap like in the eight. What year did you say that was, Ash? The crash 83.
Yeah. So then the crash in '83, there was so much, there were so many options for like
And it was it was so much
consoles.
crap.
Yeah. The games were
Like
just weren't hitting for
ET,
nobody. Yeah, because
like
like
ET getting
yeah,
buried in the landfill.
video games weren't booming in the United States in '83s and stuff, and people weren't really liking it. So for that's how it crashed, because there was literally no demand for it. So in order for a video game crash to happen, you need to really convince the casual audience that they're literally getting ripped off on this new model of games, and just maybe there could be some shift that happens, and stuff. But honestly, I have lots of doubts about on that, because some boycotts did work. I mean, one of me some. I'm talking about just one, which is the one for Battlefront 2 from EA. I still remember that because this is when I was working at a store, and Black Friday, the only games I saw were Battlefront 2, which means people were actually boycotting this game. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's how we do it. But ever since then, I haven't seen nothing like that. But
It's just the gaming culture is just so, or the quality of games is just so ingratiated into what people are buying. It's just the sales are astronomical. The problem isn't lack of product. The problem isn't lack of product. It's not a lack of demand. It's just pretty much there's just too many people making these games, and they're putting the resources in the wrong spot, kind of like what you were saying. And like we've touched upon about Nintendo in the past, how like Breath of the Wild doesn't have these assets that are 4K and like the craziest graphics in the world. It just is a really well made, polished, fun game, and Nintendo isn't laying anybody off. And I just think it kind of goes back to that a little bit. So I guess hopefully they figure it out soon, so people stop getting hurt.
Back to Iwata, right? Wii U or 3DS wasn't doing well, and he took a pay cut.
His pay cut.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the thing. Like, you look at their earnings calls, and the CEOs are getting bonuses, multi-million-dollar bonuses, and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we got to let these guys go. And it's like, so it's okay for you to get millions of
Not a good
dollars
look.
of bonus, yeah, but you let that go. And it's been a more frequent thing with companies, and a lot more companies are doing this, and it's not okay. And to me, it's a thing that I hate. Like every time I hear excuses of like over hiring, there's all this other stuff. I know it's corporate greed of the higher ups, shareholders, and all that, wanting to continue to make their money at the expense of the people below them, right? And it's like, and I get it, it's another rant, right? It's something different there, but it bothers me with a passion, because it also hinders creativity, in my opinion. Because now you have to be careful, because shareholders want, hey, we need you to make a game that has reoccurring revenue. Well, then guess what? You gotta go ahead and make a game with reoccurring revenue, and that's something that I've always liked about Nintendo. They never kind of listen. Like their shareholders will say something and be like, yeah, we'll do something, and they never do it. They continue doing their own thing, because it's like they know what makes money, and what sells, and why they're doing all these things. So, a good example is one of your older slides where they talked about like how they want to revive these IPs and make them more popular, and they talked about Pikmin 4 being a very popular game. A lot of people in both the West and in Japan were buying it, and they're trying to revive these IPs and make them good, because they can see that more people can get into it, which will then branch off. And their strategy is, you have an iconic character, you make an iconic game there, and with that game you make merchandise, which then entice people to buy that same merchandise because they like that game, and so forth. And they start building like this whole ecosystem. And, that's a smart business move. They're seeing ways to invest with these people versus, hey, do a service game and make money. Oh, and by the way, just lay off people while you're at it too. But yeah, that's another rant, and it sucks. That all these talented people got let go, and I hope somebody picks them up. For sure. I hope somebody picks them up or start their own studios, right? Like Toys for Bob, they went independent, and I'm happy they did, because Crash. I didn't play Crash 4, but the remake was good, and they did that. Crash 4 looked very good. I still want to get Crash 4. And I
Yeah,
felt
same
like the
here.
way they were being treated after that was like, no, man, like these guys, you literally have like,
And they do
a
Spyro
gold
too.
mine. They did the Spiral, Spiral trilogy
Yeah,
as
that was
well.
great too.
Yeah. And it's like these guys, you should go and hey, make all these games. Yeah, they're not gonna sell like 50 million copies or whatever the case might be, but like these are good games, and I think people will buy them.
I think I think around this time there should be like a rise of like AA and indie game studios and stuff. I think that started that I can't talk.
Yeah.
It needs to happen like
Yeah,
soon.
there is no
right?
double A anymore. It's triple A or indie, except
There's
for
no AA.
except for Nintendo.
Aren't we counting
Yeah.
We're not counting Helldivers 2? Because people were calling that AA game.
I guess that's considered double A. Yeah, Helldivers
Yeah,
2 could
yeah.
be double A.
In
But-
the
That's like a diamond in the rough, though. Like that doesn't happen very often.
And
Yeah,
I'm just saying like that, and that's because they bought the developer recently. You know, if before they were technically not double A, right? So Helldivers 2 is like one of the very few, right? For the most part, like Sony and Microsoft and EA and all these other people, they've really depended on AAA games, and that is it. And it goes back to the thing where I feel like quality has gone down. Where, again, Nintendo has a wide portfolio. They have their AAAs, right? You have the Mario Odysseys, the Zeldas, and then you have your Princess Peach, which is more like a double A, right? Xenoblade Chronicles, I guess now you can consider AAA. But then you have like Luigi's Mansion, which is probably well, I don't know. I think that's more double A, right? Would you consider that more double A than triple A, or Luigi's Mansion is pretty hard. You have your Super Smash Brothers to your Yoshi's Crafted World and stuff like that. So there's a good mix there. And not including the indie games and so forth that they have going on. WarriorWare is considered a double A game. That's definitely not a triple A game, but you have a good variety there. Where again, PlayStation and Xbox, they don't really have that, and that's a thing that I feel that kind of screws them over. There was this tweet that somebody was talking about how PlayStation and Xbox basically gave up on the kids market, right, and the teens market, and it's funny when you look at it because now when I see it, it's like like all their games now are made just for the most part just adults, right? Like name one first party PlayStation game that you would let a child play.
Astro's Playworld.
I mean that's it, right?
And maybe a Little Big Planet, but I think a Little Big Planet.
Let's say PS5 era, right? Because we're going to the past where I can think of a lot of older games, but PS5 era, Astro Playroom is really it. Like name another one.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Okay.
What about it? Did any Sly Cooper remaster recently come out for PS5?
Like Sly
No?
Cooper's missing, Jack and Dexter's missing. I guess there was Sackboy's Adventure, which was Sumo Digital, which I believe didn't they close down no, they closed down didn't they close down the studio that did Little Big Planet? The Sumo Digital did that, but it was with
that's I have no idea.
Yeah, I believe so. But again, it's like, there's that Xbox. They haven't done anything with Banjo. They could have easily do something with Banjo, but they didn't. And it's like,
Yeah,
they have options. They just haven't. So, but that's a topic for a different day. Let's move on to our final topic of the day. And we're actually
Bluey come out on the PS5.
What is it?
Bluey?
Yeah, but that's not a
Bluey.
first party game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bluey did. My daughter was actually playing that today on my Xbox because it's on Game Pass, and I was like, you know what? Here, play this. Don't play your iPad. Play this.
Yeah. Kind of guess all the games already. I guess.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna kind of brush over this a little bit, and I kind of want to dive into the final topic. But like Nintendo versus Yuzu, they're going at it. It kind of sucks. I think I kind of see it because they're upset at the pirating because Switch pirating has gone ridiculous. I'm not a fan of Switch pirating because in my mind, if a console's already out, you shouldn't pirate it. Now, if you buy the game, you want to dump it, right? Yeah, I get it, right? But they specifically mentioned how Tears of the Kingdom, 1 million copies were downloaded before the game was even out, and that's crazy. to play on
But
Yuzu.
that's not Yuzu's. That's
It's
not
not
Yuzu's
Yuzu's fault.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
not. Yeah, it's not user's fault whatsoever.
Correct.
Freaking ever.
So I agree
And
with that.
So
It's
yeah.
definitely not Yuzu's fault for none of that. Which is going to be a very interesting story of the way this plays out, and it's something that we will follow. I'll probably just do updates, because I agree with the part that it's not Yuzu's fault. Yuzu has done nothing wrong. It is Pirater's fault. At the same time, you know, I see it like as a move of frustration from Nintendo, and also as a confirmation of one thing, that the new Nintendo Switch will be backwards compatible. Because if it wasn't, I doubt they would care about this. But it is, so they're probably like, you know, we're gonna be able to play these games at higher res. So, Yuzu, I need you to go away for now. You know, and that's the way I'm seeing it, right? You know, this could all be, you know, wishful thinking, but I'm seeing that they're attacking Yuzu because the new Switch will be able to play games at higher frame rates. It will take your old games and make them, you know, prettier, right? Make it run better and so forth, and that's gonna be a cool thing. And Yuzu already does that, so they're probably, you know, trying to figure out a way to stop Yuzu there, which I don't think Nintendo's gonna win. That's me personally. But any thoughts on that? Quick thoughts, because I want to go to the last topic here.
No problem. I'll make this as simple and clean, like from Kingdom Hearts. So to begin with, right? Nintendo, they're not gonna win this case. But irregardless if they win or lose this case, Yuzu is gonna be in pretty rough shape when it comes to revenue. Mainly because it's just. This happened before. If we go back with Sony versus Bleem and stuff, of course Bleem won that case. But what happened to Bleem after that? They had to go bankrupt because, you know, they use all their legal fees on this, and then they're like, great, now we can't sell our crap anymore. So the problem is that Nintendo knew for a fact that they're not going to win this, but since they have all this money, they're going to pretty much like legal bully Yuzu into bankruptcy, so that way they don't have to keep updating the software anymore. And once they know that this is a working strategy, I won't be surprised if they go after Ryujinx next. So I'm not worried too much about if they're going to win or lose a case. I feel like it's that Yuzu is probably either one, going to stop updating the software, or two, they're gonna file bankruptcy and just like don't have it available on any platform. Like it's gonna be bad for Yuzu. I know for a fact. So it's just, well, the way Nintendo's going about this is a whole bunch of BS. And like I read the doc, a whole bunch of the stuff they're saying is mostly BS. To begin with, they're fully blaming Yuzu for piracy, which is not true at all. Because in order for you to even get the game to run on Yuzu, you first need to have a custom firmware switch. Once you have that, then you need to get an actual app that actually helps you dump those games onto the SD card and then transfer onto your computer and then play on the Yuzu emulator or the Ryujinx emulator. And in order for Yuzu to even run those games to begin with, you need encryption keys to actually play those games from the emulator, which again, you got to dump those keys from the custom firmware switch. All those things are from a different source, not from Yuzu. So the thing is that Nintendo barely has any like backing behind this and stuff. Maybe the only thing they can go at is the Patreon, because yes, they're getting tons of support on Patreon for funding it towards this emulator. But the thing is, this emulator is fully reverse engineered. There's nothing that's proprietary from that software, because like I said, the team literally tells everybody, listen, get your own stuff if you want to use our stuff. That's it, right? This is the reason why people were really scared for Dolphin, because when they found out there were cryptographic keys within the source code, I think one of them called it out from the GitHub forum, saying, "Hey, listen, you got to take this out before Nintendo takes notice and stuff." And don't know what came out of that, I guess, because that was a huge drama in and of itself.
Yeah.
But
that's why they weren't able to go on Steam, because of that.
Yeah, Valve was just worried, if anything. Valve had to double check with things, because they don't want to get caught in the crossfire with a lot of nonsense. So it's just, so overall, Nintendo, they're just, you know, they're just BSing, and they're trying to bully user with their legal money. Because listen, if you've seen their legal record, they definitely have a lot of power with their lawyers and stuff, and it's It's really stupid that you're gonna go after the company that no, not company, like a group that pretty much despises piracy and accusing them of said piracy. It's so stupid to me. I hate it. I just don't like it at all. So, but yeah.
What about you, fan?
About what?
What
I
are
mean, he pretty much said everything.
your...
Like,
No.
I mean, yeah, they're gonna bury them in legal fees. Pretty much is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they'll come back around again. Who knows?
I highly doubt, because did Bleem ever come back around?
I mean,
Or
not just
Bleem
that,
or Bleem. It's one of those names. Yeah.
I mean,
It was
they
Bleem.
might come back around again in a different form. I mean, they'll probably have like support or whatever, and updates will probably disappear for a while. And it'll probably, you could probably still download it, but it'll be like an old version that you have to just figure out. I mean, look at Citra. Citra disappeared for like the longest time with the same old version for the longest time, and now they're like,
came back. Yeah.
yeah, and they recently came back, and I mean that might happen. That
And I
might
think-
happen where the development team will just disappear for a little while, and then
If I
come back.
remember correctly, I think the team from Citra is also the team that does Yuzu. I believe they're the same people too. That's
I forgot one thing to say,
Mhm.
and I think it was one of the last excerpts that they said from their from Nintendo's lawyer. They're saying that Nintendo wants to be like the stop where you want to play all your games, including retro stuff. I'm just like, okay, if they're really actually serious about stopping piracy and emulation, I don't know. This is probably a good solution or not. Or you should maybe put a lot more games into your libraries, either on Nintendo Switch Online or in the eShop. Like, oh my god, like you did from the past on the Wii, 3DS, Virtual Console. Oh man, I never. Who knew? Who knew? Maybe they should just start doing that again, so that way we don't have to worry about piracy ever again. One of the things I remembered was when they straight up just dropped a digital version of of the Metro Prime trilogy on the Wii U for $20. Shadow drop, and everyone just losing their minds. I thought
Because
it
the
was
game at the
awesome.
time physically was like $80 on eBay. Like it was crazy
Yeah.
expensive. to buy
Exactly.
physically, that's why.
You see, that's a prime example. You see how you can easily just fix piracy just like that by just putting onto
Making
the
it
console
available.
for $20. Yeah. So if Nintendo's actually serious of stopping piracy, maybe they should make a lot of their games more accessible on their current platform than just using their own legal money to bully other people. Just a thought. A thought. And maybe
it's
Nintendo will get a lot more praise. So,
I mean, that's a fact, and it's one of the things that like kind of sucks about like DS and 3DS game, because it's kind of hard to like port those games to, a Switch will probably be the easiest way to port them, because a lot of DS games specifically, they use the bottom touchscreen. But that is something that I feel that a lot of people agree, like if you had these games available, why not? Like Mega Man and Bass. I play a lot of Mega Man and Bass when I don't know what to play, and specifically the SNES version. It's like I would love to play this game on my Steam Deck or my Switch or whatever. Well, I play it on my Steam Deck, but officially from Capcom, buy it and play it if it was available. But it's not available. There's no other way to play it except through emulation. Mother 3. A lot of people here on the West, the only way to play Mother 3 and actually understand it is to get the fan translation ROM and emulate it, right? You can definitely download the game through the Japanese Nintendo Switch Online, or rather play it through the Japanese Nintendo Switch Online. But I'm not gonna understand it. I don't know Japanese, and I guess I can make that effort to learn, but that's a lot of work.
It's literally one of the hardest languages in the world, so it's crazy, man. God.
So, but I agree with that. Brian, any thoughts on there before we go to this last topic?
Yeah, I am 100% against piracy when the content is available. So like if somebody wanted to go and play Arrow the Acrobat
I don't know what that
through
is.
an emulator from SNES,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because it's not available. You can't play it on SNES Switch Online, and the only way you can get it is if you like bought a Super Nintendo
Mhm.
and you went on eBay and got the cartridge or whatever. Or I don't know if it was available on the Wii Virtual Console, but you can't buy anything on that anymore, anyways.
Yeah.
So I think it's, if Nintendo wants to make a statement about its intellectual property and what things can be made to run games, like I think it's within their right to do that. I mean, I'm against Switch emulation, period, 100% end of story, because I am a firm believer that I think devs need to be paid because we're just talking
Yeah.
about these layoffs and stuff like that. And I mean, they're not going to be less layoffs with
Yeah.
people buying less games and playing them for free.
You
So,
mean Switch? You mean Switch piracy?
I beg your pardon?
You mean Switch piracy? Because like I definitely use Switch emulation a lot, mainly because there's certain games that that doesn't run well on the Switch. For example, I have not Street Fighter. I have Shin Megami Tensei 5 as one of my as one of my
Did
copies.
you buy it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so if you
That's what
bought
he's
it,
saying. That's what he's
Yeah.
saying. You own the game.
okay,
He's
Yeah.
talking
okay, if you
about
own the game,
pirating
then
it
I'm
where you
okay
don't
with
own the
it.
game.
Okay, if you own it, like whatever. But I'm talking about people that like don't and they just like go and download it.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I'm not cool
absolutely.
with that.
I know a good amount of friends that do that, which I'm not a big fan of that either and stuff.
Yeah,
But
I know some
Switch
people too.
emulation or any kind of emulation should stick around for people that want to keep a backup of their games and stuff, just in case they lose their physical or like there's like a certain cartridge rot or disc rot that happens to it, or they just want to have a better experience with their computer and stuff. Like a good example is with Shin Megami Tensei 5, going back to that again, is that if you had like a 1060, which I'm pretty sure is more than a decade old card, you can run the game at like a solid 1080p at 60 FPS. Meanwhile, the Switch barely keeps up with that and stuff. So it's just one of it's just one of those things where like, okay, I agree that like piracy is not good, but but that doesn't mean emulation should be gone either. And that's what Nintendo was trying to point out within their lawsuit, unfortunately.
Well, it's a slippery slope, right? Because if you open it for people that own stuff, then there are lots of people that will take advantage of that, So
Yeah.
for me at least,
It's
I'm willing to.
it's like a sacrifice that I acknowledge 100%. There's obviously pirates that use the emulation a lot, but there's also a good amount of people like myself that actually dump the games and stuff. Like, I know some people don't dump the games themselves even though they already own it, but I dump it because I think it's a fun process, and plus it's it's the most legal way to do it. But like, yeah, there's actual people that the actually does dump their own games just so they can have it either one have as a backup or two have it running better in the emulator instead. So.
Personally, I'm kind of weird. I don't mind playing a version that's not great on my Switch. Like if that's the official way to play it, that's what I'm played as. And then look, they're coming out with Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the current gen consoles now. So
Now there are.
that'll help. So
So
I agree with you on that, Brian. Like people complain about Violet. I played it on there, works fine. People complain about Tears of the Kingdom and they played it on their PCs, right? I played it on Switch and I thought it was fine. It's 30 FPS. Hey, it was a cool experience. Me and Fan, we did a duo stream of Breath of the Wild together, and we both own Breath of the Wild, but we decided to do the Wii U version, and it looked beautiful and 60 FPS, and I think was it a 4K mod or something we did? We did some mod with
I
it.
did
Yeah.
a 4K mod. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looked amazing at it. But
Oh, sure.
originally I played through the whole game on my Switch and did it there. So, but I do agree with you. I know lots of people who took advantage. And hey, I was a pirate myself. The way I was able to play Mega Man Battle Network back in the days because I had no money. I was, what was I? What was it? High school or maybe even almost college. Like I was dead broke, and I really wanted to play. I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead. I opened the world to emulation, and that's how I was able to play Mega Man Battle Network. But I do own it now, so because it came out, I bought it.
Yep, 100%.
And repented.
Yep.
But speaking of Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch is now 7 years old, and man, the Switch is something that to me kind of saved gaming for me because I was getting very bored of gaming. Like honestly, I was at the point where I'm like, man, like I'm not really sure how I feel about games anymore. Like there's nothing I really enjoyed. I was very hyped about Breath of the Wild because it looked amazing from the get go, but ever since the Switch, it just kind of like reignited this fire in me, and I was very happy to have it. And part of it's because my lifestyle changed, right? I got older, got kids. which meant like less TV time, less, a lot of things. I had to work a lot more and so forth. So it was less times for me to actually play a game, where the Switch kind of solved that issue because I can take it on the go. I can, play it in bed. I can, take it to work and, play it at lunch or something like that. And honestly, the Switch started a revolution, right? It's the actual Nintendo revolution, not what the Wii, even though the Wii was technically a revolution as well, but it started a revolution of portable gaming. And you know I'm very happy for what the Switch did. We got the Steam Decks now, ROG Allies, all we got so many choices out there for portable gaming. There's rumors now that Microsoft and PlayStation are going back to the drawing board and trying to figure out another handheld for their devices, which is kind of cool. But what are some of your first memories of the Switch? For me, I'll go first while you guys gather your thoughts. My first memory of the Nintendo Switch was, picking it up, right? I worked at Best Buy at the time, and I was a supervisor. So walked in early, and I was like, hey, I did my pre-order. I'm gonna pick up my order right there. Then, of course, it's unethical. You shouldn't do this. But I went in and I picked it up before the store opened. It was like maybe like 10 minutes before the store opened. And I was like, you know what?
You guys didn't do a midnight release?
I
No,
did.
not where I was. Where I was, there was no
Okay.
midnight release. Yeah, I at that time where I
I
lived.
went to a midnight release for mine.
Yeah, where I lived, there was, it's mainly like old people, so like midnight release wasn't a thing.
Out of demand.
Yeah. So but I went, picked it up, and then I was like, wow, I don't start work for like another like 3 hours. So guess what? I'm gonna go ahead and played it, and I hooked it up in the break room, and the break room had like an 80-inch TV. Set it up with the dock, put my Switch on there, and just played it for 3 hours straight, and it was amazing. And since then, like I've gotten, like, anytime there was a game on Switch for a while, I would always buy it on Switch, even if it was an inferior version. I preferred that because it was portable. Of course, that's changed now with the Steam Deck. I now buy everything on PC because it's superior to the Switch as of right now. So yeah, what are your guys' first memories with the Switch, picking up the Switch and playing it and so forth?
So, for me, it was actually midnight release, not when the Switch actually came out because at the time I couldn't afford it, but it was actually when they were doing a midnight release for the Mario Odyssey Switch edition. It wasn't too much of a edition because there was nothing like really engraved onto the Switch tablet. It just, they just give you like a Mario Odyssey pouch with 2 red Joy Cons, but I wanted it really badly, so, and I was able to be there for the midnight launch. And I think that was the last time I felt excited for a console release, to be perfectly honest with you. So, but yeah.
What about you, Bryant?
Yeah, a very special system in a lot of ways. There was remote play before Switch, but
Mhm.
in essence, Nintendo Switch walked so Steam Deck, PS Portal, Logitech G Cloud, Asus ROG Ally, MSI Claw, and Lenovo Legion Go could run. It's a very special system. There's some flaws with it. If we're talking about the original model, the LCD screen, not the greatest. It was okay. The Joy Cons aren't ergonomic. The sticks kind of suck. The buttons are kind of small. It's not super graphically intensive by any stretch of the imagination, but the games. Nintendo got third parties back to the table because people wanted to play this stuff portably for the first, because there's nothing like this. Because before, Nintendo had the Wii and the Wii U, which those are just home consoles that were underpowered compared to an Xbox 360 and a PlayStation 4 or whatever. And then you had the 3DS and the DS, which weren't even close to that. So it's like Nintendo found a way to bring third parties back to them with this new style of playing where people could take things places. And that was very novel when that happened. And to this day, I still love it. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I just think about back to when I was 13 years, no, younger than that, 12, 11, 12, 13 years old, and having my Game Boy Pocket or my Game Boy Color, or even my Game Boy Advance, and like having like the little worm light, and with going on a trip with my family and like praying that we got home before like it was too dark and I couldn't see a game I was playing on my Game Boy. And now it's like you have a Switch that's this beautiful screen that's fully backlit, has solid battery life, Steam Deck, whatever. And it's just really cool to kind of see that evolution in our lifetime. And I think the Switch is kind of the culmination of that. And I really think that the Switch 2 is going to maybe be a new kind of a new standard going forward, especially if Nintendo can bring the software again. And I will say, if it's not backwards compatible, I don't know about that, man. We'll have to
Yeah.
wait and see.
They need to make it backwards compatible. They have to.
I'm sure it will be. What about you, Fan?
So I didn't buy the Switch at launch. Because I just had my son. Like,
Yeah.
so like money was already
That's the
tight to
perfect
begin
excuse
with.
to get one.
Yeah, no. Diapers and formula were more important at that time. So I actually didn't get it, and I wanted to play more on the go, so I actually bought the Switch Lite when it released, and I actually played that for a while, and then I realized, man, I kind of wish I would have bought the regular Switch because I want to dock it, because at the time I didn't think I would dock it, but the fact that I had that like the possibility of doing it, like dawned on me after I owned the Switch Lite for a while, and I'm like, all right, I'll sell the Switch Lite at a loss, and I'll go buy a regular Switch. So I bought one of the refresh models at that time. But I mean, I was all hyped for it. It's just, money was tight, and it wasn't in the books
Yeah,
to buy it
understandable.
at launch.
Yep.
No, definitely understandable.
But
I think when
I'm
the
excited
Wii
for
U,
Switch 2. Switch 2.
yeah, I'm excited for it too. I think when my second oldest son, when he was born, the Wii U launched like a month later. And like I remember going to get the Wii U, and I was so excited. I was like, "Yeah, let me get this Wii U." And then I had no game to play. I was like, "Ah, like what am I gonna play?" There was like Nintendo Land, and then like eventually we did a midnight launch, or not midnight launch. We went to Black Friday at Old Navy, and they were giving away free copies of New Super Mario Brothers U. So we got that, yeah, to like the
Wow.
first certain amount, yeah, first certain amount of people. So we got that, and then yeah, like my Wii U library was short, but I would buy games like same thing, third party games that came like Batman Arkham Origins. I rebought Arkham City on there. Mass Effect 3, I bought it on there and so forth on my Wii U. Um, but yeah, with Switch, Switch, I loved it, and for the longest time, it was my only thing that I would play. Like I would play it nonstop, and even now, like I picked it up, been playing Unicorn Overlord, and it's kind of tough because when I have my Switch next to me and then I see my Steam Deck, and like I spend maybe like 10 minutes like debating like what should I play. I kind of want to play this, but I kind of want to play this. Like right now I'm stuck with Rebirth, but most of the time when there's not an exclusive PS5 game that I want to play, which is usually never, um I usually look at both of these consoles, or rather console and one device, and I'm like, man, I don't know which one to go. And I'm super excited for the Switch 2 because I feel that Nintendo will step it up. This is a different Nintendo. This is not Iwata's Nintendo. So in the sense that I'm kind of sad because we're not gonna get any like cool little different, like not innovations but different I don't know what you would say, what would you call it, like features, I guess, that would be like something that we didn't think of. Like I don't think we're gonna get that, right? But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I do feel that we are gonna get a more powerful device altogether, which I'm happy for, and I can't wait to see what they bring. Hey, if they bring back background music, I'm all for it. I'll be like right away. It'll be a 10 out of 10, better than the original Switch because they'll have background music. So, but yes, man, it's crazy to think 7 years the Switch has been out. Feels like just yesterday that I grabbed the Switch. I mean, probably because a couple of years ago I did get the Switch OLED, so it does feel more recent. Yeah, but that's all that we have for today's podcast. Appreciate everybody for joining. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this month, so every little bit does count. Share the channel, does help out a lot. Also, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We will have the episodes on there. I don't have last week's episode. I will have that up, and I should have this week's episode up also at the same time. So expect that tomorrow for sure. Don't forget to check out our group stream. We will be back on Thursday with some more Stranger of Paradise for our group stream. And then Friday, of course, I'll have a solo stream. Probably finish Granblue Fantasy because I haven't finished that yet. And then I'll probably dive directly into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right after that. Bryant, where can I catch you at?
I'm at red_so_deep on Twitter/X.
What about you, Ash?
You can find me at Ash Destroyum on YouTube. And if you want to further hear about my thoughts about emulation, I did upload a video about a year ago on it, so you can go and watch that, I guess.
Why don't you just re-upload it?
I could do that, or I can actually just get off my butt and actually re-record the damn thing. I don't know.
Could do that. I think we all in favor of Ash doing that. Say aye. You know. There you go, Ash. We voted. Now you need to do your own video.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know.
What about you, Fan?
Hey, you guys can catch me here, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter at Phaneckswhy.
So lucky that nobody has your name. I'm still upset at the person who has the random encounter on Twitch. Like, they have 0 followers. They don't even use the channel. It's like, like so upset. I can't get that name. I don't know. Maybe I could contact Twitch and be like, hey, nobody uses this. Can I have this? Like, maybe
Or
not.
at least can you contact them and ask if and if they don't respond, obviously they don't want it.
Yeah, more likely be like, yeah, for like $200 or something like that. Who knows? Enough
Fine.
people are. But yeah, as always, you can catch me here at the Random Encounter, where we talk about all the latest, greatest gaming news. We stream, do videos, all that other good stuff. My name is James. Thank you, Fan. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Bryant. And we'll catch you guys next time.